All right, everybody. We got to wait one more day to figure out who the last playoff team in the NFC will be. When I say last, I don't mean last in terms of the seeding. I just mean last in terms of we'll know who they are. So, yeah, Carolina, Tampa Bay just went final like 1 minute ago, and it resulted in the outcome that would not offer clarity on who wins that division. 16-14 in favor of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had been on a terrible losing skid over the last couple of months. They had lost 7 of their last 8 games or something. Really, really bad football being played by them. But they got it together just in time to keep their season alive. And yes, this outcome does affect the Seahawks. It definitely affects the Seahawks if things don't go well tonight. It still could if things go well tonight. So let's talk about it a little bit. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. Okay, so the game tonight, there isn't really, or well, today, the game today, there isn't really a ton to say about it. It wasn't a great game. There was a lot of bad weather. Tampa Bay, they were able to get something of an offense going. They were reasonably effective offensively. Still nowhere near the offense that they were to start the season when they had so much explosiveness with Baker Mayfield as an MVP candidate, but they were able to run the ball somewhat decently. They were able to have a little bit more success. Kate Otten actually was really good for Tampa as well. Defensively, though, they definitely woke up, completely shut down that Carolina rushing attack, held them to under 20 yards. And, I mean, they looked like a real NFL team again, which in many recent games you can't really say. So how that game affects how Seattle fans might feel about playing one team or the other team, that can go back and forth, but let's be mathematical. So, had the Carolina Panthers won this game, the NFC South would have been decided. The Panthers would have won the division. Tampa Bay would have been eliminated, and nothing that happened tomorrow or for the rest of the week could have changed that. It was over. Carolina could have locked it up. They did not. They ended up losing this game. And remember, they scored a touchdown with a couple minutes left. So they were actually behind by 2 scores, and the game was basically over at the end there, and then they were able to scramble a little bit to make it look a little bit better, but realistically, they were pretty much out of it for the entire second half, it felt like. So, it's definitely a disappointing result for them, but let's talk about what this means, because some people might be thinking that now Tampa Bay has won the division, now Tampa Bay is gonna go to the playoffs, now Carolina's eliminated. Not true. Tampa Bay is now in a position to maybe make the playoffs, but Carolina still can as well. In fact, as of this moment, Carolina is still favored to win the division and go to the playoffs. So here's how it works, and this is all because of tiebreakers. Because tomorrow we got this game, if the New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons on the road in a game where they are underdogs, not huge underdogs, but they are underdogs. If the Saints win, then Tampa Bay wins the division. If the Saints win, then Tampa Bay wins. But if the Falcons win tomorrow morning in that 10 a.m. start for the meaningless NFC South bragging rights, right? Because both these teams are eliminated from the playoffs. Well, now Carolina takes the division, even though they lost today. So this game is for all the marbles, and it's not for the marbles of the teams that are actually playing in the game. It's for the marbles of the other two teams in the NFC South. So I'll say it again. If the Saints win, the Buccaneers win. If the Falcons win, the Panthers win. It's all because of tiebreakers. I know, it's kind of crazy that things broke this way, but things have broken this way, and now we can officially say that this game will decide the division, even though both teams playing in the game are eliminated from winning the division. And both teams are on a hot streak, by the way. Both teams are playing really well right now. Atlanta's on a 3-game win streak. New Orleans is on a 4-game win streak. So both these teams are actually doing good work. And this game, while I do think Atlanta should be favored and they should be expected to win, this game can go either way. So now you're wondering, what does that mean for the Seahawks? It could mean quite a bit depending on a few things. Now, if Seattle wins tonight, if Seattle takes care of business against San Francisco tonight and gets the number 1 seed, obviously they do not play in a game next week. They don't play. They get the first round bye. They play in the divisional round. It is possible that they end up playing whoever wins the division here between Carolina and Tampa Bay. If Seattle goes on a bye, they get the number 1 seed, which means they play the lowest remaining seed in the NFC after wildcard weekend. It's possible that that could be Tampa Bay or Carolina. Now, in order for that to happen, Tampa Bay or Carolina, whoever wins, will have to be the lowest remaining seed, which means you will need all 3 NFC home teams to win their first playoff game. So that would be Chicago, Philadelphia, and whoever wins this division would all have to win their games next week. So it's not enough for just this team, Carolina or Tampa Bay, to win. You would need Chicago and Philly to win as well. Otherwise, a lower seeded team is the lowest team left, and they're the ones that go through to play Seattle. So it needs a few things to happen. I certainly wouldn't bet on it. Carolina or Tampa Bay, very good chance. Whoever wins the division plays the Rams in the first round. That's going to be very difficult for either team. I know Carolina already did it earlier this year, but they are not playing as well as they were then. And Tampa Bay, I mean, they've already been completely blown out by this Rams team. And I know they looked better today, but they've looked so bad the last 2.5 months. It's hard to imagine them beating a team like the Rams in a playoff game. Now, beyond that, if Seattle loses tonight, which we all have to be real here, is a realistic possibility, that means we play in wildcard round. We are the wildcard 5 seed. We are the 5th seeded team in the NFC. And we're going to be going up against whoever wins this division, Tampa or Carolina. For a fact, we know that. Guaranteed 100%. So therefore, if we lose tonight, we really care about this because it's guaranteed to be our weak wildcard weekend opponent. So I don't know who we'd rather play at this point. Obviously, we just handled Carolina easily, and we did lose to Tampa earlier this year, but Tampa Bay was playing really good football then. They have not looked that good for about 2.5 months now, so it's not the same team. And honestly, today's game aside, Tampa Bay has looked like one of the worst teams in the league for basically the second half of the year. They legitimately have looked as bad as teams that are at the bottom. In some ways, they've looked about as bad as teams like the Raiders and Giants. So, I don't know. I think this cuts a couple different ways here. We did just beat Carolina pretty badly, and clearly that offense has severe limitations. We saw it when we played them last week. We saw it today. They have some real low ceiling problems with that offense. There's a better defense. It feels like there's just not much they can do. Today they couldn't run it all at all. Last week they couldn't pass it at all. And their defense is really not that good either. But again, Tampa Bay's floor is so much lower. I don't know if I should believe that Tampa Bay's back just because they played okay today. So either way this works tonight, either way this game, which starts in, what are we looking at? About half an hour or so away. This could end up mattering. We may end up playing whoever wins this division in the first game we play, be it next week or the week after. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Just wanted to go ahead and chime in with that real quick because this does affect us, and hoping for good outcomes, but always prepared for any contingency because anything can happen between the lines. All right, go Hawks. See you guys later.